I think a lot of new people who are new to sharpening, the first thing that they do. All right, welcome everyone to another sharpening video from Tops Knives. This is going to be all about kitchen knives. We have a variety of our kitchen knives here. We have a couple of different sharpeners that Worksharp was kind enough to provide to us. Worksharp being the sponsor of this video series, thank you for sending us all this stuff. We use their products at home, but I've actually never used either one of their kitchen sharpeners.
Neither have I. We're actually, this morning, Craig and I were just sitting there scoping through the whole thing, and hopefully we didn't ruin it. Hopefully it works when we start.
We'll see how it goes.
But yeah, these I've never tried. I seen them on their websites, especially when we're going through, what we'd like to play with, and these, I think they're gonna work out for what we're doing.
It's gonna be really nice to have some kitchen specific sharpeners with kitchen knives. So basically, well, first things first, go to worksharptools.com, put in the promo code that is here, maybe, and yeah, somewhere on the screen you'll see a code. Go ahead and use that at Worksharp. I believe they're giving you 15% off from us as a special thank you.
Oh,
so
nice.
Make sure you use that when you're picking up your replacement belts, when you're picking up a new sharpener. Should be good to go that way. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna start with the powered sharpener.
Yeah, and the reason we're gonna do that requires some prep work, a lot of prep work.
Yeah, the prep work for the whetstone, and these are actual whetstones. These are water stones. So here's your prep work. Drop
Immerse
that
it in water.
in some water. Make sure it's completely covered. And this needs to sit for roughly 10 to 15 minutes. It's going to soak up that water.
What if it stays longer? What to do? Anything to it?
I don't know. I imagine that if it's sat for too long, it would break down a little bit. Maybe just lose its efficiency. But yeah, about 15 minutes, we'll let this sit in the water.
And then one thing we read too, once it stops bubbling, that's pretty much ready to go, correct?
Yeah, then it should be ready. And it took a second, but you can see bubbles kind of coming out, seeping out of this as the water is soaking in. The whole point with these whetstones is they have to have water on them. You don't use oil on these. You don't use them dry. These have to. These use.
Yeah, that's one thing they do say in their whole thing is do not run them dry. You'll ruin them.
So we're gonna set this aside. We'll start here. This is the Worksharp Culinary. I believe it is the E5 sharpener that comes with a ceramic rod, which we will also use to do some honing here in a little bit. So we'll show you the setup on this is really simple. The cord plugs in. We're gonna unplug it for now. The setup on this is really simple. This closes at the front with a magnet. So you open that up. To take the belt off, you're just gonna push down on this part. You can see that wheel move a little bit. And the belt just pops right off. This is how you take it apart. It comes with one belt, but you can actually buy some replacement belts that will be, that'll give you some different grit options. Once you open this up, there's actually a spot in here to store additional belts. I believe this is about the equivalent of 120 grit.
Yeah.
So you can store some extra belts in there. There's not a lot of room, so for the most part, you'll probably just store your belts in your drawer in your kitchen. The other thing that I thought was pretty handy on this is that these edge guides right here are actually removable and replaceable. So you just slide it back and lift it off. You can see it's just a really simple little set screw that puts that holds this in place. The system comes with 17-degree edge guides installed. But I believe you can buy additional edge guides at 15 degrees and 20 degrees from the Worksharp website.
And this is pretty much like what, suede or something?
Yeah, it's kind of like a suede, kind of like a felt, so that your knives slide smoothly through this and don't get scratched up.
Pretty much
just slides forward. Yep, just kind of clicks back into place. Real simple setup. I like how simple that is, actually.
I do. I like it. I'm over here, Craig's doing the talking, I'm over here just exploring the whole thing.
Yep. So
the little pocket here is pretty awesome.
That is pretty cool.
But yeah, you could at least get 2 to 3 belts in there.
Yeah, you could probably have a whole set of belts.
This will probably be a next one that we carry with us when we travel with all our shows. Hopefully we get back on that pretty soon, but this is something to be handy. Every place we stopped, and I know Craig said it last time, you know, we have to resharpen their knives. So
this will make it a little easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it a little bit faster at least.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and get this set back up. I like to start by just pushing that belt in at the top to begin with. Once I have it kind of in place there, then I push down. Once you get it over there's a couple of little lips on these bottom wheels, and the belt needs to be inside of those to be properly installed. I give it a little spin just to make sure that
everything's back in track. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, make sure it's on track and make sure that it's actually where it should be, that everything's in
it
place.
just pretty much closes and it's good to go, huh?
Yeah, closes magnetically.
Wow.
A couple of the other features here, aside from the felt guides for the knife, there's also a couple of little
Rubber.
like a plastic or a rubber.
It's a rubber, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like a rubber wheel in here. That is so that as you're pulling your knife through, it's not dragging the edge across something that you've just tried to sharpen. So that's pretty handy, because the last thing you want to do when you're sharpening a knife is dull it right after you sharpen it. And then the operation is pretty simple. If you're working on a knife that hasn't been sharpened in a while, it's dull, not
Pretty much
quite
like a
sharp.
screwdriver.
Yeah, dull.
Yeah, something.
Then you want to start with the shape option. So there's shape, sharpen, and refine. And really the difference between the three options is how fast the belt is spinning. The faster it spins, the more material is going to come off of your knife.
So the shape will pretty much give you your bevel and
Yeah.
your angle you're going to be using.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And so to use that really easily, once it's plugged in, if you push this button 3 times fast, it'll start and the light will show for shape. It'll run for about 90 seconds on its own and then automatically stop. So that gives you a good idea of about how long you should run your knife back and forth through this machine. The sharpen option, click it 2 times instead of 3, real simple. Spins a little bit slower, but I believe it stays on for about 90 seconds in that setting as well. And then the last one, you click it 1 time to refine an edge. This is more like the knife's sharp, but not quite.
Yeah, I think that's
really
what
sharp.
most people are going to be using, because they have kitchen knives already, so they'll be just touching them up.
For the most part,
so
yeah.
I
And
think
if you keep your edge good for the most part, you know, don't let it get all the way dull. That's just harder to resharpen no matter what. So as long as it's cutting good, you're good to go. But every now and then, just hit that refine option, run it through a few times, and you've got your edge sharp again. And you don't really need to worry too much about the other ones. So maintaining an edge, for me, has always been a lot easier than fully resharpening.
Full resharpening, yeah.
Yeah. So, Leo, do you want to do the honors?
Yeah, let's get started.
Perfect. Okay.
So, yeah, let's grab some kitchen knife.
Yep. While he's doing that, I'll set up this ceramic rod real quick.
So we're gonna go with something, you know, like our Dicer 8 and the XXX Dicer. Done for a wide angle. A wide blade. So pretty much, I'm just looking at where my angle begins. Where my edge begins. Oh shit, nice. 90 seconds.
Or 45 on that setting.
Oh, 45 on that one?
Yeah.
So on the shape, 90?
Yes, on the shape and sharpen, it's 90 seconds.
And then on the refine is...
On the refine, it's 45.
Oh, okay.
And the idea is that if you run it through back and forth, after about 45 seconds, you should be good to go.
3, so I need 2 on this side. I always like to count the sides. If I go over on one side 2 times, I want to do the same thing to the other side.
Yeah. One thing the workshop recommends too, when you're using these sharpeners, whether it's a belt or a stone, once you get the tip onto the belt, once you get about halfway out onto the belt, you just stop and pull straight up instead of pulling through. We covered this in the last videos as well. That's when you pull all the way through, that's one of the reasons that some people roll the tips off of their edges. Leo is he's been doing this a lot longer than I have with knives, and so he's a little better at keeping the tip on his blades. But but for me, that's handy, and it's something that I kind of have to do, or I will roll that tip over.
So I'm learning with you guys too. So you guys go and buy this. You guys are gonna have fun. And it pretty much just falls in place. Like you don't have to try to find an angle for it. It just falls in place pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I like about these edge guides, is that as long as you don't have to push down hard, you don't have to push one side or the other hard. You just try to keep that knife straight up, let it butt up against those edge guides, and you're gonna be fine. It takes a little bit of practice just to make sure that you're not turning your knife one way or the other, but you know, it's pretty simple when it comes down to it.
So when you purchase the machine, I would recommend shaping it first, because whatever kitchen knives you have are not going to be set to this.
Yeah.
So you shape it first, and then from there, you know, next time you go to touch up your blade, now you just sharpen it or refine.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. That way you kind of set your knife to match the angle of the machine.
of your machine, yeah.
Instead of trying to make the machine match your knife. Now, if you like your edges a little more stout, go and buy the 20-degree angle guides. If you like your angles just really fine.
How many different angles could you get for this?
I think three. I think three is what they offer. 20, 15, and it comes with 17.
17 a more normal one? Is that why it comes with that?
Yeah, 17's more European or American style kitchen knives.
Okay.
15, I guess, is more like Asian style, like a lot of Japanese knives are probably closer to that 15 degree.
Yeah, this one's 22 and a half. I'm just kidding.
Nice. He's eyeballing that real well. But yeah, so it gives you a chance to kind of reshape. Let's try that with that XXX Dicer. We'll try and shape it.
Yep.
So we'll do 3 clicks.
Man, look at you, Craig. You're getting a pro at this.
I know. Almost looks like I've used it before. All right. This is a little odd.
It is. It's weird when you go in, but once you go in, it goes in pretty good.
All right, we're gonna need to practice that a little bit. Try that again. That is a little bit odd. That was better.
Compare that side to your none.
It does look like it's changing a little bit. You know, you can kind of see where the bevel starts. It's rolled a little bit. So it would take that a little bit higher, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, let's keep going. Yeah. So that was 2?
2.
We got about 8 more passes. There's it. Really strange.
Okay. Yeah, I want to compare both sides now.
Okay. Interesting. It's an interesting shape, which is why we wanted to bring the XXX Dicer, because I knew I was going to struggle a little bit with it. I actually have a prototype of this knife in my house that I have resharpened on the knife and tool sharpener with the blade grinding attachment. I found that to be kind of the easiest way for me to roll that whole edge over. But I can see this one working with a little bit of practice too.
I think so. Bad. I think so.
Yeah. Should I switch to the other side?
Yeah, switch to the other side. So is speed a factor here?
Yeah, that's really the difference between the 3 settings, is the
on how fast you pull or you move it through. Would that change?
Yeah, you want to try to. I think the whole thing with this is to try to make it as foolproof as possible, so that you pull the knife through the same, regardless of what setting you're using. And I think they have a rate somewhere on their website. It's like 1 inch per 1 inch per every 2 seconds or something. I don't know, something to that effect. So you should just kind of pull it through at about the same rate each time. And then the only thing that changes is how fast that belt's spinning.
Oh, okay.
And so that way, again, it's trying to take as much of the guesswork out as possible. So you do the same thing regardless of the setting.
Okay.
I believe. Check me if I'm wrong.
See, I'm so used to doing that at the shop that I always go for that burr. You know, I have to feel that burr.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it here more than I am around here. So give this a few more goes.
You didn't keep track of your count?
No, I didn't. I'm totally lost. That's probably 7 or 8.
This would probably be one of the hardest blades you could sharpen on this, just for how big of that angle it is.
Yeah, because of that sweep. There's such a big curve to it.
You feel that burr?
You know, I'm feeling more of it, but still not quite as much. Once I get it kind of around that curve, not as much.
Look, and it starts warning you when it's about to shut off. It starts flashing.
Yeah, it starts flashing.
Yeah.
So, and then it switches down to refine. So,
Nice.
All right. Nope. Okay. We'll do a couple more and then we'll switch back to the other side.
What do you think?
Well, we got it on most of it. Let me check. The last little bit, I'm not quite getting it. I'm not quite getting a burr.
I think you just give it a couple more passes.
Yeah, a couple more passes. I'm trying to focus a little more on that last section of the blade too. So this is good for people to see, I think. Too,
yeah, and this is, you know, it's actually going from seriously 20 to 25, dropping down to 17-degree angle. You could see on the edge.
Yeah,
right
you can
here.
see where it was.
Yeah.
So this is good for people to see because there's some, especially with a new blade, there's some refinement taking it from the edge we put on it to the edge this is going to put on it.
Cool.
So we'll just restart that.
Yeah, one thing I do recommend is just keep your eye on the belt. Keep your eye on the belt where it's in contact with your blade, just so you know your tip don't stick in your tip and ruin the belt or whatever. That's the only thing I could see you could maybe do that would hurt the machine. Otherwise, it's really bulletproof.
You know what? I feel like that's decent. I feel like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So maybe if you want to try it on that sharpen setting a few times, see if you can help me even it out a little bit, and then we'll refine it. And I think that one will be good to go.
Look at that, man! I'm getting to be a pro at this.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is a weird.
Yeah, that first couple of passes are really strange.
The thickness of the blade too.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that if I didn't have the angle quite right, if I was pushing one way or another too much, it was hard to get it to go through smooth. But when I settled a little bit, it went a lot better.
I'm gonna trim a little bit. Yeah, it takes a little bit to to get it to that angle of that grinder.
Yeah, it does take a little bit of work, but I think once it's there, then it makes this real easy to just refine. Another thing to note that Leo probably doesn't even realize he's doing is adjust the way you're holding it, the way you're holding the knife, adjust the way the sharpener is angled, make adjustments so that it's as comfortable as possible for you. He was adjusting the way he was holding that handle without even realizing it, just because that made it more comfortable to use. So that's an important thing. Of course, try to follow the process that Worksharp has set up for their system, but adjust your body, adjust the way you're holding the knife, adjust the sharpener itself so that it sits comfortably for you.
And I think it has this like real solid rubber grip for that reason.
Yeah.
Right? Just keep your hand out of the way, but
yeah, everything on, I think it's a really well designed machine. I think, you know, when I first saw it, I was like, yeah, I'm not so sure about this, but now that we've had a chance to play with it a little bit, I actually really like this. And I think for kitchen knives, this is great. I mean, it's going to be really easy to keep your entire set functioning properly without too much work.
And holy crap. Yeah.
We'll call that sharp. We'll call that one sharp. If it cuts paper, it's sharp. If it cuts hair, it's sharper. So that's pretty solid, I think.
Yeah, I think a couple more passes. This part right here,
that's the hard part. That's the hardest part on this
part.
Knife. Take the most amount of.
But it's still it's sharp. Yeah. I think a couple more passes in the back, but you know, we're reprofiling pretty much that whole bevel. So
yeah, we took this from a factory edge to the edge that they want, or to the edge that's set up for.
I would probably, just because I like my edges thicker, I'd probably go to the 20.
Yeah.
Just, you know, especially for a knife like this. For a knife like this, you know, you're using it for dicing or whatever, but oh, pretty good.
Yeah, and it's probably hard to tell on the video, but that edge is just a little bit taller. That sharpened edge, it's just a little bit taller than it was when we first started working on this, and that's what happens when you reprofile an edge. The other thing is you could see kind of a double angle just inside of that bevel. That's normal when you're reprofiling an edge too. So if you take a brand new knife and you start running it through this and it looks off at first, that's because your edge angles are different. It's not necessarily that you're doing it wrong or that there's a problem. It's that you've got to completely reprofile that bevel to get this thing as sharp as it should be. So
wow, and the belt's
still good.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, still feels about the same. Yeah. So
I see why these come off too. You know, you got all this little dust in here, and to clean it up, and that way, if you got a nice kitchen knife, you're not ruining, you're not scratching.
You want to keep those the felt pads clean. You want to keep the dust off of those as much as possible. Yeah, I bet a lint roller probably does really good on that.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I feel like we got a pretty good edge there.
Cool.
Just so we can show it off, we should try this fillet knife on it too. So that way you can kind of see the difference in functionality between a really wide, fat blade and something that's a lot more narrow and a lot more.
Yeah. So let's try to reshape this one.
Yeah.
When you get down to the very end, you know, you just got to be careful that you don't drop it down in. Maybe if you keep it on a little rubber pad, I wouldn't do that.
Well, maybe that, but I think this is also another reason that Worksharp recommends once you get the tip about halfway on the belt to just pull straight up. That'll help keep you from dipping that tip into the machine and messing up your knife and or yourself.
That was a lot faster. It's thinner probably.
Yeah, this blade, I mean, the thickness difference between these two knives is pretty stark. So you can tell, I mean, the XXX Dicer is 1/8 of an inch thick, and the fillet knife is 3/32.
3/32.
So, you know, you're talking about a difference in overall thickness, but the blade edge on the fillet knife is probably also a little bit thinner, just because it's a fairly high grind.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I feel like that.
Yeah, feel that
Yeah.
tip. Feel that burr gave me a good burr. Well, that one, as long as you run it on the little guides on the back, the little rubber guides, you should be fine. What I did at first, I was just sort of riding it solo without that back piece, so that's when I sort of felt it pulled it. But if you just run it on the little rubber piece on the back, you should go fine, right, Craig? On that.
I think so.
Yeah, you're not. It's not pulling. It's not. I think the first one I sort of had it up in the air, so.
Yeah, a little bit. My first one pass was I was trying to
do the
sharpen
same.
the other one still. You know, it's a little bit weirder. So this one's a little simpler.
It'll take a little bit of practice, but after a couple times using it, yeah, you'll be a pro at this. Yeah, I would recommend you go back and forth. You know, one pass here, just so you're not counting how many times you did it on one side. You don't have a crooked bevel.
Feels pretty good.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, you can feel that.
So let's say you got this. You feel like it's pretty good, but you want to get a little bit sharper.
Yeah, and you feel that little burr, even because you did it on the last one was on the
refine option.
Refine.
Yep.
So I would definitely hit it on that rod.
Yeah. So if you buy the E5 sharpener from Worksharp, this ceramic rod comes with it. This is a pretty cool tool. The ceramic rod itself is not just completely round. It's got a couple of flat spots, so you have a couple of different options for how you use this.
It's almost like a little serrated, almost a little grip.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of it's a little bit of a jagged surface, so that it'll not just take the material off, but kind of hide it in those grooves. The other thing that I like about this is it's got built-in edge guides that match this. So if you're unfamiliar with getting your edges right, you can just lay the knife on the edge guide and then run it along the ceramic. So that's pretty cool. If you're used to, if you don't need that, if you're used to using this type of a sharpener, just turn it sideways and ignore those guides, and you're good to go. You can also set this ceramic rod any way you want. It pops out really easily.
Okay.
So you can.
If you want the round side, the smooth side, you switch it over. Okay.
Yep,
cool.
Exactly. So you can do that either way. Their recommended use is to put this down on your surface.
Is this a rubber tip?
It is.
Yeah,
it is a
so
rubber
it's not
tip.
sliding,
So that'll help keep it in place. Your thumb just kind of naturally fits here, and you can run the knife both directions like this. I prefer to kind of hold it out in front of me, and I tend to tip it up or down a little bit based on which direction I'm going with the knife. But that might just be me. But again, the trick is just do whatever's comfortable for you.
And see, every time that I've used one of these, or I've seen somebody use it again, my family, it's instead of going like.
And see, I can't do that. I've tried to do that, but I just it does not work for me.
Yeah. Here I'm just hitting pretty much the front of my fingers. They'll tell me where to start, stop.
And you don't put a lot of pressure on these things too. That's the other thing. I think a lot of people who are new to sharpening, the first thing that
Holy
they
crap.
do.
Sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, I think people that are new to sharpening, one of the first things that they do is they want to like almost cut into the sharpener. And the whole idea is you let the sharpener do the work. That you just run the knife along it the right way. Yeah. You run the knife the right way, man, you'll get results like this.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
So I would recommend you run it on there, and then you find do your finished pass here.
Yeah.
Because that is razor sharp.
Yes. So that right there is the Worksharp culinary powered sharpener with ceramic rod. Again, I believe this is the E5 on their website. You know, you'll find it. Just double check, and it comes with that rod. That's for me. That's probably the best kitchen option. If you want that ceramic rod to go on with it.
Yeah, I think you would be hitting this 2-3 times before you even bring the machine out.
I think so. Yeah.
So,
Depending on how often you touch up your edges. If you go for a while without doing that, then yeah, bust out the.
I know my wife's gonna be seeing that. She's like, "Well,
machine.
why don't you do that then?" Because my kitchen knives are dull.
Mine are, yeah, they're okay. But I think once I get one of these bad boys in my kitchen, yeah, I think it's gonna get better.
Maybe I leave it in my kitchen and show her how to do it. Huh?
That's a good idea. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
Let's check on our. I think we're good here. Yeah.
yeah. Perfect.
Let's check on
I
our
think so.
whetstone and see how that's doing.